Orange Cookie used to be completely useless, but now she's meta. She doesn't just have good damage, she deals more than Eternal Sugar. So what happened? How did she go from garbage to one of the best options? To answer that, we need to rewind all the way back to the beginning, when the Citrus Squad first dropped, with lemon, orange, lime, and grapefruit. Everyone agreed that they were basically throwaway epics. In the arena, they all died instantly because they were way too squishy to survive anything. In guild battle, nobody ever used them because they didn't bring anything useful to the table. And in story mode or Beast Yeast, they got outclassed by other electric cookies like Twizzly or Black Lemonade. The alliance wasn't much different. Well, actually, Grapefruit did manage to be meta there for a bit. She was like a second rebel, proving that a citrus cookie could be useful. And now it's Orange's turn. Her rise to the meta didn't happen because the devs buffed her, or because players suddenly changed their minds. It happened because a new event was released, the Salt Wraith Rumble. This game mode rewards you for dealing as much damage as possible to the Salt Wraith boss. The more damage you deal, the higher you rise on the leaderboard and the better rewards you get. Orange Cookie is required if you want a top score, which automatically makes her relevant. But that still leaves the question, why? Why use Orange Cookie over literally anyone else? To understand that, we need to look closely at how the game mode works. The boss itself doesn't kill your team, so survivability doesn't matter. However, the boss occasionally stuns your entire team and it's a very long stun. Every time this happens, your total damage output suffers a lot. That's why everyone should use Eternal Sugar. She can crowd control the boss, preventing it from using that stun at all. Next, this game mode lets you roll for a 6th cookie, and for multiple buffs that boost your score. Tarchatan is the only real option here for the 6th slot, cause she increases your damage to bosses by 999%. The 3 buffs you want for her are movement speed plus attack speed, the grow in size buff, and more damage to bosses. Everyone is forced to run the same setup, no variation. Now for the rest of the team, Linzer is really good when it comes to debuffing bosses, so she's absolutely mandatory. It also turns out that electric teams deal the most damage in this game mode, so Twizzly and Black Lemonade are used too. So you would assume that Orange is a 5th cookie, right? The video title and thumbnail has her, of course. However, most people don't actually use her. They go with someone like Star Coral or Candy Apple instead, and that's completely wrong. Never blindly follow what everyone else uses. Like, Orange Cookie is good, and here's why. She deals this much damage at just 2 stars. That's almost as much as my 5A Twizzly with a level 30 candy. She doesn't need high investment to output these numbers. She can be tossed inside the Hall of Ancients and she's ready to go. She outdamages both my Eternal Sugar and Black Lemonade. Star Coral, her healing's useless. The boss doesn't kill anyone, so healing adds literally nothing. Her buffs don't help either, cause why buff your team when Orange alone can deal absurd damage? Candy Apple has the same problem. Her debuffs don't come close to the raw damage increase you'd get simply by using Orange instead. So now, we've identified all 5 cookies for the most meta team in this mode. But, the story doesn't end here, cause there's a catch. Whenever your team gets stunned by the boss, you lose tons of damage. So the boss stuns your team at certain fixed intervals, and these timings are always the same across all battles. I don't have the exact stun timings cause I don't care enough to track them. Anyways, putting the maximum amount of cooldown, 35% on Eternal Sugar doesn't actually help you if you're spamming her skill non-stop. This causes the boss's stuns to leak through. You could try to time her skill manually, but that's incredibly difficult and not worth the effort. Instead, the optimal setup is to give her less cooldown, and either give her more damage toppings like apples or raspberries, or use some poison lines on the biscuit. And the exact amount of cooldown she needs is 16.9%. With that amount, spamming her skill as fast as possible lines up with the boss's stun timings perfectly. If you have something like 15% cooldown or 18% cooldown, this won't work at all. And it gets even more complicated. At the beginning of the battle, you don't want to use auto. You gotta wait for the timer to go from 58 seconds to 57 seconds. Like, the moment you see 57, you want to click Eternal Sugar, and then you should use auto. Now that the team is built properly, the boss fight should be easy, right? Well, not always. Sometimes everyone still gets stunned. Getting everything to line up perfectly first try is pretty unlikely. It takes some practice to consistently avoid all the stuns. The most annoying part is that you have to reroll for Tarchatan in all 3 buffs every time you want to go for a high score again. So it's probably better to practice Eternal Sugar's timing first, without rolling for Tarchatan or any buffs. Basically, going in raw for a few attempts. Anyways, my goal for today is to get on the events leaderboard. Let's see if I can actually pull it off. There we go, that's some good damage. 182 billion, I think that's pretty above average. 48th place, okay, that's good enough for me. So now we might as well go over Orange Cookie's build. There's an electric damage V-skit, 4 lines. And now for the tricky part. We want to reach the maximum amount of crit before we go into cooldown. We don't want to overcap on crit or else it'll be a complete waste. So you see this number right here in the toppings? This is what we need to figure out. So to have a guaranteed crit, that's 100%. Every cookie has 5% base crit, so now you only need 95%. Then there's an 8% crit landmark, so now it's 87%. The whistle treasure gives you 15% crit, so now you only need 72. Linzer cookie also gives 15% crit, so now you need 57. Twizzly's magic candy gives 15% crit to electric cookies, so now you need 42%. Orange cookie gives herself 5% crit, so now you need 37%. Finally, if you have the new legendary costumes, the White Lily and Silent Salt one, that gives you 3% crit. So the crit cap for Orange Cookie is 34%, or 37 if you don't have the costumes. So she doesn't need that many apple toppings. Then you can put all the rest of the substats into cooldown, and maybe a little bit of attack. So now, why did she do so much damage, right? Like, Citrus Squad members' stats are lackluster, so what happened? And what about the other electric cookies like Stormbringer and Shining Glitter? If we look at Orange Cookie's skill, well, nothing really stands out in particular. She does damage, buffs electric cookies, deals some more damage to zap targets, I guess. Some buffs here and there, and that's pretty much it. It mostly comes down to the boss itself. Orange, Twizzly, and Lemonade are really good against these types of bosses in particular. The ones that sit around, don't do damage, and are damage sponges. On the other hand, we got V-Straight, for example. The boss is Silent Salt thingy. Twizzly, Lemonade, and Orange are all bad against it. However, Palm and Electric Cookie is good against it on her own. So it's kind of weird how it all works out. Like, it's all different for each scenario. The only way to know which electric cookies should be used is by testing all of them out. You never know if an oddball like orange or grapefruit will be meta all of a sudden. So now all I gotta say is this update has been absolutely awful, like, ugh. At least Orange Cookie spices it up a bit, but yeah, that's all for this video.